Kigali, Rwanda, a city consistently lauded for its sparkling streets, blossoming flowers, and unwavering commitment to cleanliness. But beneath the manicured surface lies a different story, one that casts a shadow on this urban utopia. Across Africa, the lifeblood of many economies lies in the hands of informal traders. Small shops lining dusty streets, women selling fruit from baskets, men hawking crafts. These are the faces of entrepreneurship, often the only path out of poverty.
My business started after the father of my children and I separated in the year 2000. I decided that I needed to start a business, so I started in the year 2000 on the 4th of March. I've been here for over 18 years cooking fat cakes. Up to so far, I can survive. I can support my children and pay rent for the flat.
Kigali's success in cleanliness is undeniable. However, this achievement comes at a cost, particularly for the city's most vulnerable residents, the poor. Imagine trying to sell your homegrown produce, a few mangoes or some vegetables, to make ends meet. Here in Kigali, that's become increasingly difficult. The government officials come and tell us we can't sell here. They say it makes the city look dirty, but how can I afford to rent a shop? The Rwandan government enforces strict regulations on street vendors. Formal registration is required, and the fees can be crippling for those living hand to a mouth.
The goal is to seek investment and prosperity by portraying what is safe and business-friendly about the country. European Union Ambassador to Rwanda, Nicola Belomo.
Rwanda is now on the map. Rwanda is on the radar screen everywhere. President Kagame is becoming more and more the voice of Africa. Some consider his development model, as something to be followed.
Despite praise from the United States, the 2018 U.S. State Department's own Human Rights Report on Kagame's Rwanda cites instances of unlawful or arbitrary killings, forced disappearances, torture, and arbitrary detention of Rwandan civilians by state security forces. Journalists have been threatened by police or killed under mysterious circumstances. Most at risk are those who directly oppose the government. In 2010, opposition leader Victoire Ingabire was running for president when she was charged with, quote, minimizing the genocide and so-called divisionism, which is a crime in Rwanda. She was convicted and sentenced to 15 years in prison. She's now out of prison after Kagame approved her early release in September of last year.
It is not easy to be in opposition in Rwanda.
In her office hang the pictures of 9 party members who are in jail, plus one who mysteriously disappeared while in prison last October.
The government has a characteristic of a factor one-party system. We have so many political parties in the country, but they work together as one party.
Even some of Kagame's closest advisors have fallen out with him. David Himbara worked for President Kagame as an economic advisor and then as his private secretary.
He's one-man government. He's in charge of the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative branch.
Himbara says many of the original men and women who came to power with Paul Kagame after the genocide have fled, or worse.
They're either dead or in exile. Nobody, no original person, they're nowhere to be seen. The others are underground. They're keeping quiet. Kagame is, I think, a person whose life is consumed by militarism and violence.
Himbara now lives in Toronto, Canada, and advocates for Rwandan opposition groups. Even those Rwandans who have left the country aren't guaranteed safety. In 2008, former Rwandan spy chief Patrick Karegeya fled to South Africa and set up an opposition party in exile. He was found strangled to death in a Johannesburg hotel in 2014. This May, a South African police officer investigating the crime testified that the murder was directly linked to the involvement of the Rwandan government. Kagame denied any involvement in the attack, But 2 weeks after Karegeya was assassinated, he issued this warning.
Betrayal has consequences. Anyone who betrays our cause or wishes to harm our people will fall a victim.
Is how.
What remains to be seen is how you fall victim.
There are many ways.
Meanwhile, the man who represented Rwanda at the United Nations as recently as 2016, Richard Gasana, has sought asylum in the United States. His lawyer confirmed that Ambassador Gasana fell out with Kagame and fled to the U.S. for reasons that, quote, relate to his personal safety.
While Kigali boasts impressive, organized markets, these spaces often lack the foot traffic needed for small vendors to thrive. The government argues these regulations are necessary to maintain Kigali's image, but critics say it stifles the entrepreneurial spirit and limits income opportunities for the most disadvantaged. The push for a pristine Kigali creates a sanitized environment, devoid of the informal economic activity that is the lifeblood of many African cities. As night falls, Kigali transforms into a city of quiet order, but this order comes at a price. The vibrancy of street commerce, the energy of small businesses, has been sacrificed for a carefully controlled narrative of cleanliness. The question remains, is a city truly clean if it comes at the expense of its most vulnerable residents? Kigali's success story is undeniable, but a closer look reveals a hidden cost. Perhaps true urban development lies in finding a balance between order and opportunity, cleanliness and the inherent messiness of life itself.